How you doing? This is Brotha T. If you want to support the channel, we have t-shirts and other merch right there in the description. Just hit the link.
You were a star child, let your light shine for all the world. When you open your mouth to reveal a pearl, let it shine more, just to light the path. If it don't add up, man, just do the math. If it ain't for you, let it pass on through.
How you doing? This is Terrion Wilson, aka yo boy, Brotha T, here with another one. So we like to call this channel T's Life Tree. And on T's Life Tree, we like to give you little pine cones of wisdom. If you don't know what that is, stick around, stay on the channel, you'll get it. Before we get started, I need you to like and subscribe, okay? Because when you like and subscribe, we can continue to give you these pine cones of wisdom. And while you're at it, I want you to hit that notification bell, right? And make sure it says all notifications so you can get everything that we release when we release it, especially if you're enjoying these little pine cones of wisdom. All right, so today is my favorite books. These are Brotha T's favorite books. Some of them are going to surprise you, maybe, I don't know, I'm not sure, but I'm going to show you a litany of books. Yes, I do have books, and yes, I do read. Just broke the stereotype, didn't I? All right, so I'm going to give you a list of books. I'm going to break them up into 3 categories today, right? And these aren't all my books. I'm just going to show you some of the ones I really like, and some of the ones that I am excited about reading, right? So I'm not going to show you everything I have actually read already, but stuff that I'm excited about reading. You know what I mean? But a lot of them I have read at the same time. So I'm going to break them up into 3 categories today. First, I'm going to show you books that allow me to help with my thinking, right? All the things that make me think on a higher level, higher vibrational thinking. Then we're going to go to books that are based around history, and some of them Black history specifically. And then the last category, I'm gonna show you Black authors, all right? So Black empowerment, power to the people. In case you haven't noticed, I am Black. Well, last time I checked, I was Black, African American. So there we go. So that's very important to me as well. So I'm gonna give you some of those authors. So let's go ahead and get started, and let's just jump into my favorite books. Now, some of you might not resonate with this episode. Some of you just want to run away and say, I don't want to see no books. Don't show me no books. But to those that stick around, you want to see part of my book collection, then hey, you're more than welcome. And boy, anytime. So, okay, so let's start in on the first one, which is going to be The Power of Positive Thinking by Norman Vincent Peale. Now, I would say I've only been in a few sections of this book, to be honest, and it's really potent, okay? So it teaches you how to think on a higher vibration, to keep everything on a higher frequency, right? When you're thinking, and the power of thinking, right? If you want something to happen positive in your life, we talk about it all the time on this platform. The more you think on it, the more you get out there and do it, the easier it comes to you. That's part of the law of attraction. So The Power of Positive Thinking is a very popular book through the years too. Very bestseller. So it's been a bestseller for a long time. More than 5 million sold, I believe. So that's number 1. So let's go to the next one. So another book that's a big deal in the way I think is As a Man Thinketh. Now this one is a smaller book, and I read this in I would say a few hours. I read the whole thing, and it's very potent, by James Allen. Now it's along the same lines of The Power of Positive Thinking. So, you know, the higher vibration you think on, the more you draw positive things to you. And this just goes into that a little bit, and how, you know, how it affects the consciousness and subconsciousness, how you can subconsciously bring things into form just by changing the way you think on a regular basis. I've got part of the way through this book, and this is Power versus Force by David R. Hawkins. Now, this one's deep, right? Because it's talking about part of it is talking about the power of words, and this is also talking about the consciousness, right? As you can tell, when I'm looking at books that hit on my thinking, I'm on the consciousness level. I love those things because through my life, these have been principles that I've adopted for myself that have worked for me. People around me and people that know me, they think I'm just super talented, super skilled individual. And, you know, I might be on some level, but a lot of it is because of the way I think, not necessarily because I'm more talented or skilled than the next person. It's just the way I pick up the information and the way I look at life. I look at life as just open, full of opportunities for me to learn something new. So I go through that door and learn something new. And Power versus Force, very interesting because he has a section in here that talks about the vibration of words. And he'll actually give you the frequency of that word. Yes, the actual frequency. It's a nice little chart in here. And if you check the frequency of that word, you can see that words actually literally have power. Crazy, isn't it? Let's go. Let's keep going. The next one is written by ex-cop. Okay, now this one I haven't had the privilege of even cracking open yet. I've had it for a little while. Now, this guy was a sergeant, okay, I believe in maybe the Seattle PD. I'll have to check that. But I heard an interview. I used to listen to a show called The Cows, okay, with Gus Renegade was the host. And it was a YouTube show, and he had what was that called? Blog Talk Radio. And I enjoyed the podcast. And he was talking to this ex-sergeant who actually admitted that they racially profile people. And I mean, we all know they do it, right? But it's a big deal when you get an ex-sergeant that admits it, that he was doing it on purpose. And he admitted to mistreating people. And, you know, it's really deep. I haven't cracked it open yet, but I can't wait until I get to the point where I do it. And it's called Breaking Rank. And this is by Norm Stamper. Great interview, seemed like a great individual, great guy. Now, he did pay a price for writing this book, and he did pay a price for coming out and being truthful about some of the methods that him and some of his colleagues, some of the things they implemented, and in profiling and mistreating people of color, mostly Black and Latino. So when you get a chance, I guess, check it out. I can't tell you how good it is, but I can tell you that the interview was so great that I went out and bought the book right away, and I can't wait to crack this one open. Now, that I look at is my thinking section. Those are the books that get me thinking. Now, I do have other books that get me thinking as well, but the video, I don't want it to be 8 hours long. So let's go to my next section, and I'm going to show you some of my historical books, some of the books that I look at as historical, that helps me look at things from a historical context. The first one I'm going to show you is the Egyptian Book of the Dead. And for those that are out there and you're super religious, this is not a demonic book. All it's doing is just showing you the Egyptian Book of the Dead that's carved that's over in Egypt, inside of one of the pyramids right there on the wall. And if you read this, and if you read this with an open mind, you're going to, especially if you're a Christian, you're going to be quite surprised by some of the things that's on here, because this predates some of the things that you know about. I'll just put it like that. I have to be vague like that, so I won't offend a lot of people. But it's very interesting, and I have cracked it open. It's very descriptive, and they show you the actual pictures. And I'll go in here, right? Very interesting. They show you the actual carvings on some of the walls. It's a very interesting book, and I really enjoyed it. Another one we're going to look at today is Stolen Legacy. Some of you have heard of this book. This is a bestseller, and it's been talked about from time to time over the years, even debated. It's written by George G.M. James. And Stolen Legacy is the study. What he did, he did a lot of research and study, and it's based around the fact that a lot of things in Greece were adopted. I'm using a good word because some say stolen. That's why it's named Stolen Legacy. A lot of those things that we look at with reverence from Greece actually came from Egypt, okay? Or, those that really do the research, we call the area Kemet, okay? It's the reason why I'm using the word Egypt, so I don't want you to get confused when I use the word Kemet, like, what the heck is Kemet, okay? So I'm just gonna say Egypt, okay? So, because, the average person knows what Egypt is. So, You know, they're saying that people adopted and stole a lot of that stuff, put it in Greece, and then represented it like it was new. Okay, and this, I mean, there's a lot of things that you think are Greek are actually came from Kemet, which means it came from Africa. That's Northern Africa for those that don't know. Stolen Legacy, great book, great information, and trust me, this one's gonna knock your socks off if you want to know some of the correlations between a lot of Greek information and stuff from Egypt or Kemet. I look at this as a historical document as well. Now, this one's by somebody I respect highly. Now, if you're a fan of the Sonnetter platform, then you've heard of Jabari Osaze. So this is his book that he wrote. It's called 7 White Lies: The Conspiracy to Destroy the Black Self-Image by Jabari Osaze. Now, this one's interesting because I'm a fan of Jabari Osaze. I think he's a great brother. He gives a lot of great information, especially on the Kemetic religions. We just talked about Kemet, right? Egypt, you would call it. So he's a Kemetic priest, modern day Kemetic priest. So he still puts some of those practices into practice now. And he's a wealth of information when it comes to that. But this particular book, he's going through and he's going to show you some lies that have been perpetuated to destroy the black image, especially when it comes to Christianity. All right. Now, I'm not attacking Christianity, nor is he. He's just showing you some of the correlations. Okay. Some of the things that have been adopted and lied about within those beliefs. Now, I talk about this one all the time. I even have a series based around this book, and this is the 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene. I love this book. It just talks about power. It's self-explanatory. It talks about ways to attain power or ways to retain power or maintain power if you already have it, right? So, you know, I won't go deep into this book. You can just check my series on the channel and you'll know about this. Basically, he just goes throughout history and he gives you examples of power, how it was lost, taken, or stolen. All right, so the last one in my historical section, and you can put this in my black section as well, but the black section is so heavy already that I just, I decided to put them, towards the end of the historical section. And this is called The Man Not by Tommy J. Curry. This was another interview that I saw on the Cows program. I used to be a fan of that program. And he's a professor. And what this book is centered around, how through the years, the black male has been specifically mistreated and not treated like a man and not given man status in society as a whole. He gives example after example. He gives historical text, historical literature, and historical examples of how the black male has been mistreated throughout the years, even till the modern day. Very good read, very good professor. He's great to listen to on the interview as well. So once again, this is called The Man Not by Tommy Curry. So now we're getting into the black session. So the blackity black power, black fist. Okay, so the first one is going to be the Willie Lynch letter and the making of a slave. Okay, for those that are not aware of Willie Lynch, that he was supposed to have been a former slave owner who came from the Caribbean, where they were supposed to be harsher on their slaves, to teach slave owners in the Americas, specifically in the United States, how to treat their slaves to get more obedience. Okay, so so some say that he did not exist. Some say he did. But one thing that we all can agree on, some of the things that's spoken about in this book, they apply to us. We're still scattered. We're talking about African American descendant slaves right now. All right, so this book is an easy read. You can read right through it. A lot of triggering stuff in here if you don't like that whole slave thing and reading through it. So beware, you will get triggered reading through this, but a lot of this applies even to us at this moment. The next one is going to be one of my favorites, and This will be the United Independent Compensatory Code System concept. Now, you will have to be a fan of Neely Fuller Jr. to really be aware of this book. And what he does, he details, he gives a way or different strategies that you can use. That's why he called it the code system concept, because he's giving you different codes how to survive white supremacy and racism in the world if you are a victim of those things. Now, this is a very, very, I wouldn't say it's a tough read, but the way he wrote it was more like a reference book, like a textbook, okay? So it's less of a story type book. It's more like a reference book. And he does have a definition book that goes with it. I actually have it, but I won't show you that today. So the United Independent Compensatory Code System concept by Neely Fuller Jr. The next one will be one of my favorites, and you'll still see my little makeshift bookmark. I don't use real bookmarks. That's crazy. I use anything for a bookmark, but this is Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome by my homegirl, Joy DeGruy. Now, she has a lot of beautiful, 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 beautiful videos on YouTube talking about post-traumatic slave syndrome. This is one of the books I picked up from watching YouTube. I just watched her so many times on YouTube, and I enjoyed the way she displayed what post-traumatic slave syndrome was, and I was so impressed I just had to get the book. Now, if video or the book, what she's doing is she's telling you, she's connecting some of the dots of why African Americans have some of the deficiencies we have in modern day. And she's drawing correlations to that and what happened in slavery. And she's saying that whenever somebody goes through traumatic situations, or a lot of times, you would want to get help for that. And what she's saying is Black people just never got the help. So we never properly dealt with a lot of those situations. Great read, man. You'll love this book. Check it out. Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome by Joy DeGruy. Now, the next one is going to be one of my personal favorites as well. And this is The ISIS Papers by Frances Cress Welsing. Now, I don't want you to get afraid out there because you heard the word ISIS, okay? This is based on the Egyptian, not the Kemetic, that's a whole different story, but the Egyptian, goddess, okay? So, this is The ISIS Papers, The Keys to the Colors by Dr. Frances Cress Welsing. She's discussing, just like Neely Fuller, because they are colleagues, they knew each other really well and were friends. So she's speaking on white supremacy, how to deal with it, why it exists, and the real purposes behind some of the things that happens to those that are victims of that white supremacy. All right, check it out. That's a classic, by the way, for those that didn't know. Now, the next one, great. This is more of a contemporary book. Now, this is written by an attorney. I don't know if she's a former attorney or not, but she's a great sister as well. This is called The New Jim Crow. This is written by Michelle Alexander, a great read. She's a little more complex with her wording, all right? So it's you got to be ready for this read, okay? She gets deep in here, and she just talks about how jails are the new Jim Crow, all right? And in terms of, we're talking about African Americans here and the incarceration rates, why they're incarcerated, and why they use it as a new way of afflicting, I was going to say pressure, but you get what I'm saying, oppression. The next one, and this is The Miseducation of the Negro. Very important. Carter G. Woodson, or Carter Godwin Woodson. They got his whole name on this one. But this is a classic for those power to the people type of brothers out there. I haven't made it through this whole book yet. I don't know why, because it's not big, but I will make it through it one day. Carter G. Woodson. So Carter G. Woodson was a part of the civil rights movement. He created a bunch of things as well. So I saved the last three here let's do this one first. And this is not necessarily a Black Power author, but I just wanted to show it because I think it's a cool book. I haven't really read a lot of it yet, and this is Michelle Obama's book, and this is called Becoming, right? I got the paper version. I was cheap. And this is by Michelle Obama, right? And this is I think it's a partial, because I haven't read it yet, but I think it's a partial autobiography or something like that. Right? So at least I'm guessing that. I bet you I'm right. Okay, so the next one I'm going to show you, this, in my opinion, should be the Black Empowerment Bible. No disrespect to the real Bible. I respect that book for what it is. But this should be the Black Empowerment Bible. This should be what everybody that wants to fight in the struggle to get the foots off of your neck as a Black empowerment person. You should read this book. All right. And this could have been in a historical section as well. But this is Black Labor, White Wealth by Dr. Claude Anderson. Now, some of you might have heard of Claude Anderson from some of the platforms he's been on speaking, namely the Breakfast Club and among others. Dr. Boyce Watkins has him all the time on his platforms, and he also was in the Hidden Colors series. I think he was in the first 2 or 3. And Dr. Claude Anderson, very powerful individual. He used to work in government. He used to work in politics, actually. And I believe he doesn't let time by without stating that how he wrote either one of the first or the first affirmative action bills. So there you go. So he carries a lot of weight. So Black Labor, White Wealth, like I said, part of it is partially historical, because he talks about how African Americans were brought here as slaves and used as a economic system, or to build an economic system, and they actually were the economic system. They're as unpaid employees, and they actually built a whole country. He goes into why they were selected. He goes into what happened when they were selected. He even goes into what happened after they were so-called freed, right? So very, very beautiful, very historical. And there's some things in here that are going to catch you off guard, because you're going to say, wow, I didn't know that. And he does great sourcing of the material. So he gives you the actual act, or he gives you the actual law that you can look up and see for yourself that it's legit research. It's not stuff that he made up off his head. Kudos to you, Dr. Claude Anderson, for writing what I call the Black Empowerment Bible right here. Black Labor, White Wealth. My man, Dr. Claude Anderson, he also has one called Powernomics. All right. Now, I read all the way through Black Labor, White Wealth. I have not cracked Powernomics open at all yet. I'm actually saving it. It's almost like you ever see like your auntie or somebody in your family, they get new furniture and they keep plastic on the furniture, and they don't want people to sit on the furniture, and you just want to keep it new. That's what I've been doing with this, because I had the book for a while. I haven't cracked it open, not because I didn't want to read it, but because I'm kind of saving it for, when I get that urge, I'm like, yeah, I got to see what's in the Powernomics book now. But I can definitely tell you what it's about. It's about, well, I'll just read the subtitle. The National Plan to Empower Black America. So what it is an economic plan, things that he lays out, and he lays out there for us to get, ways we can economically get better as a people. We're talking about African Americans. Once again, one way we can build economies and build structures and build infrastructures and systems and industries that work on themselves, we can build economies in a lot of these Black communities of color and Black communities specifically. So Powernomics, that's in the book collection as well. Now, as I stated earlier, I have many more, but I just wanted to highlight some of my faves and some of the ones that I'm really excited to crack open when I get a chance. So that wraps it up. I hope you enjoyed this episode. It was a little different from what I usually do, because I usually sit here and ramble. I didn't ramble this time. I just showed off books, and I wanted to brag too. Yeah, Yeah, brother really reads. Brother is really trying to get his mind game, his thinking game together. And I hope you do the same out there. So this has been your man, Brother T, and that's it. That's all I got for you for today. Maybe I'll do a part 2 one day. I don't know. But I'm out of here. Peace.